Welcome back to the FAQ Shack. You know, we get a ton of amazing questions, and today we're tackling one that really gets into the nitty-gritty of how our bodies work. We're going to talk about flow control, how our body keeps everything moving in the right direction, and what happens when that entire system decides to go into a dramatic, full-scale reverse. And this whole explainer was sparked by a fantastic question from a listener, Alex in Ohio. So a big shout out to you, Alex. And hey, for everyone watching, if you've got one of those questions that's been bugging you, you know what to do. Drop it in the comments below. We genuinely love seeing what you're curious about. All right, so to figure out how things can go backward, we've got to start with how our body stops that from happening all the time. And that brings us to these incredible, unsung heroes of our internal plumbing, the sphincters. So what exactly is a sphincter? Well, the technical definition you see on screen is a tonically contracted circular muscle. But let's make that simpler. Just think of it like a smart gate, or even the drawstring on a bag. Its natural, default state is to be squeezed shut. That's what tonically contracted means. It only opens when the time is right, carefully managing the traffic flow inside you. They are absolutely critical. And you have a whole bunch of them. This table gives you a quick little tour. You've got the lower esophageal sphincter, the LES, right at the top of your stomach, which is what stops acid from splashing up where it doesn't belong. Then there's the pyloric sphincter at the exit, which basically decides when your food is digested enough to move on. But check out the system down at the bottom. It's brilliant. You have an internal anal sphincter that's involuntary. It works automatically to prevent leaks. But then you have the external one, which is under your voluntary control. It's this perfect partnership between your body's autopilot and your conscious mind.
Okay, this all makes sense on paper. But these are tiny muscles hidden deep inside our bodies. So you gotta wonder, right? How in the world do scientists actually study them? How do you test the strength of a gate you can't even see?
Well, they use some seriously clever technology. What you're looking at here is a diagram of a device called a flip probe. Now, at its heart, it's basically a really advanced catheter with a small bag on the end. A doctor can place that bag right across the sphincter and then slowly fill it. As it expands, a whole bunch of sensors measure both the pressure and the exact size of the opening. It's like a stress test for your internal gates, giving a super precise picture of how well they open and how tightly they clamp down.
So, we've established that the body is full of these amazing one-way gates, designed to keep everything moving along nicely. And that brings us right back to the heart of Alex's fantastic question. So Alex writes, okay, so if sphincters are designed to keep things moving one way, how on earth does vomiting work? It seems to break all the rules. And you know what? Alex is totally right. On the surface, it looks like a complete and catastrophic system failure. But it turns out it's anything but. So, let's dive into the anatomy of this upheaval. We're going to take what feels like a moment of pure, unpredictable chaos and break it down into a stunningly coordinated biological event. And this right here is the single most important thing to understand. Vomiting is not your body losing control. Far from it. It's your body running a very specific, preloaded, protective program. It's a feature, not a bug, designed for one purpose: to get something dangerous out of you and get it out fast.
Now, according to the research, this whole program has 3 major events that happen inside your gut. First, the muscles in your stomach and esophagus get ready, kind of preparing the exit route. Second, this massive event called the retrograde giant contraction kicks off. And third, you get the physical actions of retching and, well, expulsion. We're going to zoom in on that second step because that's the real game changer.
Meet the RGC, or retrograde giant contraction. Let's break that down. Retrograde just means backward, and giant contraction is exactly what it sounds like. It's a massive, powerful wave of muscle contraction that actually starts way down in your small intestine and shoots upward toward your stomach. It does 2 critical things. First, it clears the track, forcing everything in the upper intestine out of the way. And second, and this is genius, it pushes neutralizing fluids from your intestine up into your stomach. This acts like a buffer to help protect your delicate esophagus from all that harsh stomach acid on its way out. And this graph shows us what that wave looks like electrically. Now, don't worry about all the little squiggles, just look for the big shark peaks. You see that massive spike on the bottom line? That's the RGC firing off in the intestine. Now, look at the lines above it. You see the same spike, but it happens a little earlier each time. That's it. That's the signal of the reverse tidal wave in action, moving backward up through your system. It's just an incredible display of coordinated power. So we have this powerful, precise sequence of physical events. But who's the conductor of this orchestra? Who's actually giving the orders for this entire reverse flow program to run? Well, no surprise,
The call is coming from upstairs, in the brain.
The whole process is orchestrated by a specialized bit of circuitry in your brainstem called a central pattern generator, or CPG. The best way to think of it is like a dedicated mission control center. When it gets an alert that something's wrong, maybe from your stomach or something in your blood, it doesn't just panic. It literally loads and executes the vomit program.
Okay, I know this diagram looks like the wiring schematic for a space shuttle, and it is pretty complex, but you don't need to trace every single wire. The big takeaway here is just to see that there is a schematic. There's a plan. Right in the middle, you see the CPG, that central command unit, and you can see it sending out specific signals to relax the right sphincters, to trigger that monster RGC wave, and to coordinate your diaphragm. It's not chaos at all. It's a centrally commanded, perfectly timed operation. So let's just step back for a second and think about what we've uncovered. This is just one incredible example of the thousands of hidden, pre-installed programs your body's running all the time without you even thinking about it.
So let's wrap up with the key points. First, your body is full of these amazing sphincters, these dynamic smart gates that are essential for keeping things flowing the right way. Second, something like vomiting isn't a failure of those gates, it is a highly sophisticated protective program being deployed. The star of that show is without a doubt the retrograde giant contraction, that incredible reverse wave. And finally, none of this is random. The entire complex sequence is orchestrated with pinpoint precision by a control center in your brain.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If your body has a program this complex just for this one situation, what other amazing hidden programs is it running for you right this very second? Anyway, that's all we've got for today. A huge thank you again to Alex in Ohio for the awesome question. And don't forget, leave your questions for us in the comments below. We'll see you next time on the FAQ Shack.